All right, welcome. We are live. This is Orion Rising. I'm your host, Leonard O'Neill. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good morrow, depending on where in the world you are tuning into this show. Share this out, share this out, share this out. I was sitting here messing around and forgot to share it out, so I'm going to be doing that right now. So it is 10 a.m. Saturday morning in New South Wales, Australia. That is 3 p.m. Friday night on the west coast of America. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Share this out, share this out, share this out, share this out. I'm going to share it out. I was not sharing it out while the music was playing. I was messing around and realized I hadn't shared it out. So I'm going to share it out real quick here. Let's get it shared out to everybody. We are live on Facebook and YouTube today. We also go live on TikTok, but I haven't done it. I tried to do a simulcast one day, but it doesn't work out right because the way things are I can't use StreamYard to go live on TikTok. And I can't use TikTok studios to go live on Facebook and YouTube. So the only way I could do that both would be to use my phone for TikTok and then the camera for YouTube. And I did that one day and I didn't like it because I was either looking at one camera or the other. And now looking at both, Brooke said that I should set it up just to be like looking at it from a different camera angle instead of trying to look at both of them live. So I'm not quite sure. Looks like I'm going to be going live on YouTube and Facebook on one day and then going live on TikTok on another day, which is all right because it seems that when I was on TikTok, I was trying to do the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, but I can't, I haven't figured out how to put the video up there to show it. And TikTok has a wingding if you use other people's videos, like I use the videos from YouTube for YouTube and Facebook. And there's no problem with copyright laws and stuff like that. But TikTok has wingding about that. So I wouldn't be able to share that stuff anyways. So I think it turns out that it's better that I just go live on TikTok for TikTok and go live on everywhere else for this. Either way, it doesn't matter because those of you listening to me on the MP3 broadcast around the world, you get both anyway. So it doesn't matter what platform I go live on. I put that out to you guys anyway. So those of you listening around the world on the MP3 broadcast, you guys are hearing me live anyway. So it doesn't matter, right? You guys are hearing all of that. And you probably wouldn't even notice that I was live on TikTok unless I said I was live on TikTok at the moment that I was live. Do you see? I'm still sharing out. It's the only reason why I haven't taken down the overlay yet, but I'm about to do that. So share this out, share this out, share this out, right? We'll get some people in here in the live right here. Okay, let me come back over to the studio. Wait, let me make sure that gets shared out. Yes. All right, let me come back over to the studio and I'll take down this overlay here because we don't need that up, do we? Oh, no, that's the wrong one. I was about to take away the background instead of the overlay. And there we go. Okay, so you can see on the screen there, over here, you can see that's where the Emerald Tablets of Thoth is. And now everybody weirdly at the same time. So, I don't know why, but at the same time, everybody had the technology that they're rolling out to do the cell phone and the laptop version. Because literally when StreamYard rolled it out, like the next day, TikTok rolled theirs out, right? So people, those of you who are watching like on Facebook or on YouTube, I don't know if Facebook does it, but YouTube actually broadcasts both so that you can either hop on the cell phone one, and the cell phone one is tiny. Your screen of your cell phone is like this, and the cell phone one is vertical across the center of it and tiny, where if you go to the other one, it actually takes the whole screen. But the problem with that is what it does is it's not in widescreen. It actually brings it in a little bit, right? So the other one is widescreen, but I tried to see if you turned your phone, if it would go into theater mode or widescreen, and it doesn't. So it's probably not going to last very long because people are not going to like it. So weirdly, when I'm live, it's in both places at the same time, right? So welcome over there on YouTube. I can see your guys' comments here in the chat, right? I see Jesus King is over there. Jesus King loves you. Repent and follow. Matthew 3:2. Oh, I like that, brother. So yeah, right. And I can see, what is that? Is that Fabian Gill 2968? Welcome over there on YouTube. Like I said, share it out. I don't know which one. If you're on one that is the little teeny on your on your phone, go to the other one because it does actually record both live instead of, I guess if you want to have the choice, and that's why they're doing that on YouTube. I'm okay with it. It's just that some people don't like the layout of the new thing for your phone over there. I'm not quite sure what's going on with that. And TikTok doesn't seem to, no one really seems to say anything on TikTok when I'm doing it on that platform. So I will be live on TikTok tomorrow, Sunday here in Australia, because I'm in New South Wales, Australia. But for those of you around the world, if you're in America or Europe, it will be on your Saturday, because today's your Friday, depending on where you are in the world. Okay, so the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, we are actually on the last tablet, 15, tablet 15 of the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. So if you've missed, if you just tuned in brand new, you need to go back and listen to the other stuff to hear everything that's on there. But I will take questions on any of the content that's out there. So if anybody has any questions, just let me know and I will talk about that. But otherwise, we'll be talking about spirituality as usual and what's going on in the world and in the universe. Okay, so like I said, if you're in the crowd, say hello in the chat so that I know you're here. And I will check Facebook because sometimes, weirdly, the Facebook thing doesn't come into the chat for some reason. It's supposed to, but every now and then it doesn't. So I don't know what's going on. So I'm going to turn it on here and expand it, and you guys will hear it. Sorry about that, but I want to bring that up. So if anybody says anything, I'll have actually a monitor up for that. So I apologize for that in the background there. Okay, so like I said, make sure you share it out and make sure you say something in the chat so I know that you're here. Otherwise, I'll just see numbers, right? So welcome, everybody. So let's go ahead and get started on the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, tablet number 15. In fact, it's even labeled in this particular video as supplemental. So we'll go ahead and talk about that. And then if you guys have any other questions, please make sure that you say something in the chat, because if you don't, then I won't know what questions that you have. This is why I'm here. I'm here to answer questions for you. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a sound check. Somebody let me know if you guys can hear this when I start playing it. I'm going to turn the sound up here in the studio so that you guys can more than likely hear it, but let me go over here to Facebook. In fact, let me put this up at full screen. Right, and then when you put it up in full screen and the other one, it just kind of lowers on the cell phone version, which is weird. Okay, let me go over here and we'll start playing it. You guys let me know if you can hear this last bit, which is only like, I don't know, 5 minutes long or something. So we'll go ahead and start playing that, and then we'll just continue to talk about things.
Tablet 15, Supplementary, Secret of Secrets. Now ye assemble, my children, waiting to hear the secret of secrets, which shall...
Okay, hold on, because we already have a question. I like that. Leon Rivers, you have a question? I have a question. Yes, please, go ahead. Ask your question, and I will answer it. Whatever the question is, it doesn't even matter what it's about. If I don't know the answer to it, I'll tell you I don't know the answer to it. But then, so tablet 15 is the secret of secrets, okay? So that's where we are in the Emerald Tablets. But Leon has a question, at Leon Rivers. So go ahead and type that in the chat for me, please. I'll wait for you. I know there's a lag, so it'll take you a few minutes, about 35 seconds or 40 seconds. And then if your question is long, it'll take you a while to type it. But please go ahead and type it. I'm going to go ahead and start playing this while you're typing that, and I'll stop when I see your question, and then we will continue.
Give ye power to unfold the God-man. Give ye the way to eternal life. Plainly shall I speak of the unveiled mysteries. No dark sayings shall I give unto thee. Open thy ears now, my children, hear and obey the words that I give. First I shall speak of the fetters of darkness, which bind ye in chains to the spheres of the earth. Darkness and light are both of one nature, different only in seeming, for each arose from the source of all. Darkness is disorder, light is order. Darkness transmuted is light of the light. This, my children, your purpose in being, transmutation of dark to light.
See, so here you're getting that information that if you've read the Law of One or those books or heard my interpretation, you would think of and hear words like distortion or chaos when referring to different things like the differences between light and dark, right? So now you assemble, my children, waiting to hear the secret of secrets, right? which shall give ye power to unfold the God-man. If you remember, there's a book called God-man, the Bible made flesh, right? So that's God-man, meaning, for those of you who don't know, which is really weird because it's in the Emerald Tablets, and it was in that book, although that book probably knows the answer, because I read that book, and it seems that they do know the answer. God-man, the Bible made flesh, which you guys should probably read if you've never read that. Had I read that book before I wrote my book, I would have heavily used that as a reference, especially on the chapter about the Christ oil in the description of the Christ oil. When I read their description, it was almost exactly word for word mine, which is not uncommon because that information that I was using is the information that everyone unlocks. So everyone in the entire world, universe, but our world learns that information. So it's not something that I owned or made up or thought of myself. And there's people out there in every single religion was telling you about it, including the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, which some people say were invented in 1928 or 1929, which is, even if it was, the people who invented them read ancient scripture. And everyone says that, well, they all just copied off of each other. Yeah, but there's one thing that they did copy, and that is the concept of how to ascend to heaven in every single religion. What's happening here, how to get off this rock, and how to discover that within yourself is the one truism in every single real religious or philosophical or spiritual text around the world. The semantical things, those things which people choose to do differently about how they go about worshiping that deity, that namesake that they used for the Godhead, and the dynamic, the paradigm of whether it was monotheistic male-dominated, monotheistic female-dominated, dualistic male-female, religious ideology, many gods, one God, that sort of thing. The story is almost identical, almost in every religion, as to how everything was created. And the reason why everybody thinks that the earth is flat, because they use the term dome of the sky in most of the religions. So therefore, the sky must be flat. The earth must be flat because there must be a dome there that you will hit if you go up there high enough. But all the flat earthers won't launch something up there to see it hit, so that they can film it. They launch stuff up there, but they don't have the technology to launch something high enough to go out of the Earth's atmosphere, even though they claim there is no ionosphere and there is no space. But yet you don't see them launching any rockets anywhere, which is weird because they make a lot of money selling that thing about the Earth being flat. You would think the very first thing they would want to do is prove it, besides taking old maps that are flat, that were designed to be put over a globe, and then go, look at this, see how it is? It's because it's flat. I'm like, that's because that's topography that's supposed to be put over a globe. And so therefore things look bigger on a square piece of paper, and then when you put it over a globe, they actually crunch up, and so you actually have to take stuff. That's why they started showing it in textbooks with cuts in it. And people are like, no, they're just doing that because they're trying to fool us. And I'm like, okay, so then launch your rocket into the air, film it when it goes boing off the top and crashes, or find that firmament that you guys keep claiming that somebody found in the 1700s. And so if so, then how come you can't do it? We'd really like to see that. I'd like to see you guys go over there. We have the technology. You could go over there and sail all the way around and leave Neb standing still. Stay here in camp. We'll be back. We're going to go all the way around the Earth and come right back around to you on the flat plane along this wall of ice that surrounds us. But yet, no, you can't get to it. You can't even see it because the firmament has this power over everything, all the animals and everything, and it makes you turn to the right when you don't know you're turning to the right and you think you're going straight. And I'm like, how do you know that? How do you know that? Because the guy who went there was immune to it. So if he went there and found that wall of ice, he was immune to it. So how does he know that it was making everybody else turn right? Did he see it happen and he disappeared and people said he was out there and then he wasn't? because he disappeared over the edge of the world. I don't know the answer to that because nobody asked those questions because it didn't happen. So, right? Okay. So apparently Leon Rivers said, I have a question, and then never asked the question, never typed it, and must have gone away, or he's still typing. So we're just going to assume I was kind of killing time waiting for Leon Rivers. I think Leon Rivers came in and said, I have a question, and left to giggle. Or maybe he's just sitting there going, oh, and being a troll. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. So, Leon, I apologize to you if you're still typing, because it's been 8 minutes since you asked for the question and you haven't said anything. So let's continue. So here in the Emerald Tablets, you see where, let me read it then. We'll start again, right? Waiting to hear the secrets of the secret of secrets, which shall give ye more power to unfold the God-man. Give ye the way to eternal life. Okay? Give you the way to eternal life. Plainly shall I speak of the unified mysteries, unveiled mysteries. Unveiled is a very important term there. Okay? No dark saying shall I give unto thee. Okay, so not going to speak to you from a self-serving evil standpoint, only talking about unveiling through the non-evil portion, non-self-serving, but in service to others, light portion. No dark saying shall I say unto thee. Open thine ears now. This would be in the Bible. It would say, let him who hath understanding, let him who have the ears to hear. Open thine ears now, my children, hear and obey the words that I give. First I shall speak of the fetters of darkness, which bind ye in chains to the sphere of the earth. Okay? Darkness and light both are one nature. Difference only in seemingly for each eros from the source of all. Darkness is disorder, chaos, right? Distortion. Light is order. Darkness transmuted is light of the light. Okay, so literally you're seeing here the difference between living in the flesh, darkness, disorder, veiling, okay, and the spiritual side of living in the flesh. When you are living in the flesh and you only believe that this is real, and you only believe that this place is real and there is nothing else and there is no God, there will be nothing for you but what you see, taste, smell, and touch. Because that is where you're living. You refuse to look at anything else. You say, you get angry. There was a guy on TikTok who was just angry. And I'm like, how could you be angry at a God you don't believe in? But I didn't ask that question. He was angry and said there was no God, because apparently he, when as a younger man, had asked God if he should join the monastery or join the priesthood, and to join the seminary to become a priest. And God never answered him. He didn't hear. So he's angry with God. He claims God doesn't exist, but yet he's angry with God. Do you see? And so I wanted to talk to him, but he was just yelling and cussing at people. And if anybody brought something up, he would go, "You're stupid. You're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about." And he would start cussing at them, and he would call them effing stupid and all of that stuff. And there is no God. And then he would go, bye-bye, and he'd boot him. And my wife said, why don't you say something to him? And I'm like, he's just angry. He's just mad. How can he be mad at something that he doesn't believe in? Right? That was like, there was a guy in the United States that was trying to get the word under God taken out of the Pledge of Allegiance, and the word under God taken out of everything and off of the money in the United States, because he didn't believe in God, and his son shouldn't have to hear these words in school, because he came home and asked his dad about it. So he was suing as a atheist, and he said he doesn't believe in God. So then when I heard the tape, saw him, when they were playing it on the news, and the judge asked him, again, the judge said to him, you do not, is that correct? You do not believe in God. And his response wasn't, "You're correct. I do not believe in God. I am an atheist." His response was, "I defy your God. I defy your God." So I laughed, because I said, well, if he defies the God, why isn't somebody asking him that question? If you defy God, then you're acknowledging the existence of God, when you defy him. So this guy was angry, mad at God, and he said God doesn't exist. And I wanted to just simply type in the chat, but I didn't have time. I had something else to do. And my wife said, why don't you say something? And I said, he's just mad. And I should type in there, how can you be mad at a thing that you say doesn't exist? Because he said it. He was pissed off. So how could you be mad at something that doesn't exist? So contradictory. He doesn't believe that God doesn't exist. He says that, but he's angry with God for not answering him. So that means that he believes that God exists. So how can you say God doesn't exist? That is, I'm mad, therefore I don't think God exists. Do you see? So there's a difference between saying I'm an atheist and God doesn't exist, and then saying to somebody, I defy your God. Not I deny your God, I defy your God. So that means that you believe that God exists so that you can become their adversary. Or you believe that a God exists that you're mad at, right? So that's not a person. Either of those people were not actual atheists who didn't believe in God, because they had to take the stance they took. They have to believe that God exists. To be angry at something, you have to give it life. How can you be mad at something that's not there, right? That would be like, I'm mad at this tree. And people go, what tree? There's no tree there. Yes, but I'm mad at it. I don't believe there's a tree there, but I'm mad. Well, hold on. If you don't believe there's a tree there, and we also say there's no tree there, how can you be mad at a tree there? Do you see that? Because there's a tree there, because people keep saying there's a tree there. Do you see my point? Right. So because people say there's a tree there, I'm mad at it. I don't believe there's a tree there, but I'm mad at it. Well, okay, there's your problem. Therein lies the problem. So most people, is my point, most people don't realize what other people are actually saying, right? He's hurt because God didn't answer him directly, and he hasn't learned that, whatever lesson he was supposed to learn from that. Okay. So same thing when other people will come onto your live and say, you don't know what you're talking about, but they don't offer anything other than yelling at you and cussing at you, being trolls, trolling you. It's the same thing. That guy's trolling God and saying God doesn't exist. Well, you're making yourself popular by trolling the same thing you don't think exists. And right, there was another whole group that were doing that, and they were talking that God doesn't exist. And I was like, well, then why are you guys talking about, if God doesn't exist, why are you wasting your time talking about it? Because you're trying to prove to people that God doesn't exist. Why is that important to you? If God doesn't exist, why is it important that you go after the people who believe in God and try to tell them they're stupid and that they need to not believe in a God? What does that matter to you? Right? So there's my point of that. So here you see that in the Emerald Tablets, who, the secret of secrets is that, first of all, there is that duality. Let's start here right in the beginning, and we'll continue with this. Okay. So the secret of secrets is, which he shall give you, right? That no dark saying shall I give unto thee. Open the ears now. So let him who hath understanding reckon what? Let those of you who have the ears to hear. Open your ears now, my children. Hear and obey. They love to use that word in the ancient times. Hear and obey the words that I give you. First I shall speak of the fetters of darkness, which bind ye. Right? So now we're talking about the veiling. So darkness veils you currently. When you're born into this place, you have the veil of darkness. You cannot see. Your third eye is closed. You cannot see beyond this physical place. Okay, which binds ye in chains to the sphere of the earth. So the nature of the beast is the beast itself. You are the beast. As a matter of fact, nature is the beast. Right? And people say, no, that's the devil. It's 666, the number of the devil. That's just not true at all. That was a mistranslation of the Bible. Let him who hath understanding reckon the number of the beast. Right? You guys recognize that out there. And then the wrongful translation happens right after that. From let him who hath understanding reckon the number of the beast, for it is a human number. Wrongful translation. That was a wrongful translation of a wrongful translation that was done on purpose. Okay, so let him who hath understanding reckon the number of the beast, for it is a human number, and its number is 666. A human number was changed and it was not, and it was changed from a saying that was also changed. It was changed in the 1500s by King James, who reworded it to, for it is a human number. Okay, for it is a human number. King James changed that. Let him who hath understanding reckon the number of the beast, for it is a human number, and its number is. And that was the change that was changed then. All times prior to that in the Bible, it said, let him who hath understanding reckon the number of a beast, for it is the number of man. Not a number of man, not a human number. It is the number of man. And its number is 666, which means 666. And that is exactly correct. Why is that correct? Because this physical place that you call third dimensional reality that makes up everything that you think is real, including your physical body, and all of this is made up of 6 electrons, 6 protons, and 6 neutrons, 666. Look that up. I'm not making that up. That's scientific fact. Okay. In fact, Carl Sagan back in the 70s said that we were made up of stardust, of things from the stars, because we're made up of 6 neutrons, 6 protons, and 6 electrons. Okay. And that's what makes up this carbon-based unit, but it also makes up everything that you're seeing. So for it is the number of man, 666. So nature, this place, okay, this place is the beast. The beast is living in the flesh. So here you have this. Hear and obey me. First I shall tell you of the darkness which binds ye in chains to the sphere of earth. Darkness and light are both one nature, both one in nature. Okay, darkness and light, different only in seeming. Different only in seeming. Do you understand that word? Your perception, your focus determines your reality. Your perception determines reality. Different only in seeming. For each arose from the source of all. Everything comes from the Creator. Darkness is disorder, light is order. Okay. Peter, welcome, brother. Okay. So literally, the darkness which binds ye in chains to the sphere of the earth is the veiling of the third dimensional place, of this place, of nature. Darkness and light are both of one nature, different only in seeming. Your perception is the difference between light and darkness. Your focus is the difference between light and darkness. Your choice between being self-serving or in service to others is the difference between darkness or light. Darkness is disorder, chaos. Light is order. Darkness is war, anger, masculine, aggression. Order is feminine, love, caring, nurturing. Darkness transmuted is light of lights. Okay, let's continue here. So darkness transmuted is light of lights, light of light.
Hear ye now of the mystery of nature, the relations of life to the earth where it dwells. Know ye are threefold in nature, physical, astral, and mental in one. 3 are the qualities of each of the natures, 9 in all, as above, so below.
Okay, so now we're getting into the 3, 6, and 9. Okay, darkness transmuted is light, right? This, my children, your purpose in being transmutation of darkness to light. Hear ye now of the mystery of nature, the relation of life to the earth where it dwells. Know ye that ye are threefold in nature, physical, astral, and mental. Perception. Physical, the lower 3 chakras, living in this place, believing this place is real. Astral, spiritual, upper 3 chakras, and mental. Mental being your mind, thinking, your ego, and your conscience, not your consciousness. Okay. So those are the triple toroidal field. You have perception, you have physicality, spirituality, physical plane, spiritual plane. your mental ability to choose which one of those you want to live in. Okay, let's continue.
In the physical are these channels, the blood which moves in vertical motion, reacting on the heart to continue its beating. Magnetism which moves through the nerve paths, carrier of energies to all cells and tissues. Akasa which flows through the channels, subtle yet physical, completing the channels. Each of the three attuned with each other, each affecting the life of the body. Form them the skeletal framework through which the subtle ether flows. In their mastery lies the secret of life in the body, relinquished only by will of the adept when his purpose in living is done. Three are the natures of the astral. Mediator is between above and below, not of the physical, not of the spiritual.
Okay, so that's the 6 energy. Okay, do you understand that? Each of the 3 attuned with each other, each affecting the life of the body from the skeletal framework through which the subtle ether flow. Okay, so you have the energy of the bottom 3, you have the energy of the top 3. That's 3, 6, and 9. 6 being that which is ruling them both. That's the heart chakra. So the bottom 3 chakras, the heart chakra, and the upper 3 chakras. So there's your triple toroidal field that's in everything, especially in humans. And your heart is the love. And then the reason why that rules them both is because if you're living in the flesh, you don't love others, but you love yourself. So you love. It's still being ruled from the heart. If you're living in the upper 3 chakras and you're living in your spiritual plane, you love others. So the heart chakra rules both of them. Okay, so that's the 6 energy, and then the 9 energy is the God energy. So you could even call the bottom 3 the devil energy, the Midgard, and then the upper energy being, if you want to look at all of the religions, you have hell, and then you have the midpoint, which we call Middle Earth, Midgard, whatever you want to call that here on Earth, 3rd dimension, and then you have the astral plane. So you have the physical plane and the spiritual plane, and then so you have the upper is the heaven, God, the heavens, the creator. Lower is the earth, or under, which is the underworld, which is the darkness. This is the metaphor that has been used by all religions around the world. The ruler of the underworld, the ruler of the heavens. Okay, so the heavens is the heaved up place, the place above. And then you have the place below. As above, so below. As within, so without. They're trying to tell you in these 2 statements, let me pull myself up in full screen so you guys can see. They're trying to tell you in these statements, okay, that, sorry, somebody's messaging in the chat. What chat is that? Is that oh no, that's a different chat. I apologize for that, guys. I thought somebody was messaging in a chat and somebody messaging in a messenger chat. Okay, so in these references all around the world, you hear the heavens and the underworld. The underworld is the physical world, the physical plane, the darkness ruling that, war ruling that. This physical place, Midgard, is that midway point, the 6 energy, the midway point. 3 is nature, all that it is nature, all that it is time, space, and then all that is the space, everything that is above. So everything that is below, everything that is above, hear my intention, heed my intention. That is the charm of making. That is literally everything in the universe, and that is in every single Bible. Okay, so the bottom 3 chakras is the underworld, hell. The upper 3 chakras is the above world, heaven. Okay, and you are in Midgard, midway point. You're in the heart chakra. That is why that the old people in the old world believed your soul was in your heart, not in your head. It was in your heart. Okay. And that was that was your brain, that was where your soul was, in your heart. Okay, not inside your brain, not inside your head. But because you see out of these eyes, you assume that you must be inside here, and that's what everybody does. Because I see out of these eyes, when I think, I associate that with my hearing and my sight are here, so therefore I must be here. That's what you do. Okay, that's what everybody does. Instead of thinking you're the entire body, or instead of thinking that you're somewhere else and you're tapped into this entire body because you hear, and when you hear something in both ears, it sounds like it's in the middle of your head. You see something and it sounds like it's in the middle of your head. It looks like it's in the middle of your head. So you assume that you're right there in the middle. Okay, that's what everybody assumes. I must be right there in the middle. That's the point where you're supposed to learn that you're not the physical pain body. However, you see this lower underworld, nature, hell, darkness. This place is brutal. This place is physicality. If people who live in the physical plane and only believe that, they're eating of the tree of life. It's all over every single religion in the entire world. They're eating of the tree of life. They're living away from source, away from God. Okay, where is God? God is up. God is always up. God is away from here. God is up. So if you are in the lower three chakras, God is up, because the spiritual is up from the lower three chakras. As below, so above, or as above, so below, as within, so without. Okay, so what's going on without in the universe is also what's going on within me. As without, so within, or as within, so without. As above, so below. As below, so above. Macrocosm or microcosm to the macrocosm. So if I'm the microcosm to the macrocosm, whatever is going on in the universe or in this reality is what's going on within me. Whatever's going on within me is what's going on within this reality. Okay, you have the ability. You are deciding your reality. Okay, and that's written in all of the scriptures. Look at Matthew. Is it Matthew 3:16? Right. So if you look at that, or Matthew 3:8, I don't have a Bible in front of me, or I would look it all up exactly. So people please don't like go look it up and then yell at me because I got it wrong, but it is in Matthew. I think it's Matthew 3:16. Don't get me like angry. Reese, welcome, brother. Okay. But in there it says, what you reap on the earth, I shall too reap in heaven. What you sow on the earth, I shall too sow in heaven. So what you do here, okay, what you do here is what this place is going to be. So what you do inside of you, who you are and how you live, is how this place is going to be. So if everybody in the whole world believes that there is no poverty, poverty will go away. If everybody in the whole entire world believes that everything is free, everything will be free. But if everybody in the whole world keeps buying into there's countries, then there's countries. If everybody believes that I have to pay for something, then we have to pay for something, because we're agreeing to it. We're creating this reality. So if we want things to change, here's the philosophy of all these same people throughout history. Be the change that you want to see in the world. Right? Mahatma Gandhi said that. Right? And a few other people. I quoted it in my book. Everybody, you can look it up. Everybody knows that. We use that. Be the change, right? Be the change you want to see in the world. To change the world, you change yourself. Because by changing yourself, you change those people around you, because they see that you've changed. So if you change and other people are inspired by you, they'll change, and other people will be inspired by those people and they'll change. So if you want the world to change, you can't scream at the world. You got to scream at yourself, fix yourself, and then you can fix the world. So literally you see, even if you think it's made up, created, made up emerald tablets, okay, it was created and made up of something that's actually real, or and maybe it was borrowed from everything. Everything was borrowed from everybody. Everybody borrowed that from somebody older and somebody older and somebody older. What are they borrowing? What are they borrowing? Everybody says that. But that book was based on this other book, and that book was based on another book, and that book was based on another book. What was based on another book? Well, all of it. What is all of it? See, they don't want you to know that. They keep you away from it. They keep you looking for this older and older and older and older. And so they just made it up. They just created it and just made it up. It's not real. It's not real. They just made it up because they borrowed it from some other religion. What are they borrowing? What they borrowed is the same exact knowledge. I don't think they borrowed it as much as they copied it, or as much as they actually figured it out. Okay? Because it doesn't matter. Say you never read any scripture in your entire existence, your entire life, you've never read anything. You don't know anything about any churches. You don't care anything about any churches. You're just living your life. You will unlock the exact same knowledge that is in all of those books, whether you read them or not. You will unlock the same knowledge. Okay. Whether you read anything that's spiritual in any way, you will unlock the same knowledge because that knowledge is universal. That's the part that freaks people out. Because when you unlock the knowledge and you go, I got the whole entire universe figured out. I don't even care about that religious crap that you guys keep learning. I don't know anything about it. I've talked to people who have done that. I've never read any religious text or spiritual text in my entire life. Well, tell me how the universe works. I've been meditating on that, or I've been praying on that, or I've just been thinking about that, because they stay away from the whole idea of spirituality, philosophy. Well, what have you figured out? Well, this is the way I think that it works, because I've been sitting here pondering this for a very, very long time. And what have you figured out? Most of the time, if they've actually started looking into the universe itself, they will unlock the same thing. Sometimes they won't, because they'll claim that they know everything, but their ego, they're like, I know everything. You just don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. You're just words. You're so wrong. I had a guy tell me that. You're so wrong. Ha, 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 ha. You have no idea what you're talking about. I'm like, okay, so then enlighten me and tell me the answer. Did he? No, because he was a troll, and that's all he wanted to do was that, right? Okay, so let's get back over here. Let me go back. Let me take myself out of full screen, whoop, back over there, and put this up in full screen. Okay, so here you see that we're talking about that. All right, let me come back over here. So the Akasha, there's your Akashic record again. Okay, so let's back up a little bit and we'll come back to where we are. In the physical, right? In the physical are these channels, the blood which moves in vertical motion, reaction on the heart to continue its beating, magnetism, which moves through the nerve paths, carrying energy to all the cells and tissues, Akasha, which flows through the channels, subtle yet physical, compelling or completing the channel. Okay, so now you're looking at the Kundalini energy, right? Now you're looking at, I got to open the window because it's getting warm in here. So I apologize for a second as I open the window. I also apologize if you start hearing sounds coming from outside. It's cool outside, but I have the windows and doors closed here, so it's getting warm. I may have to turn the fan on too. Okay, so the energies that go through your pathways, and you're carrying the energy to your cells, right? So in the tissue. So now you're talking about what? Blood. We're talking about energy. We're talking about Kundalini energy, Kunda buffer energy, going through the cells, going through the veins, going through the nervous system, right? Subtle yet physical, completing the channels, each of the three attuned with each other, each affecting the life of the body. Form they the skeletal framework throughout which the subtle ether flows. So ether is not just, ether would be more of the force that they talk about in Star Wars than just a bed of energy. In science, up until recently, they always talked about the ether. And literally in the less than 100 years ago, they would refer to the ether bed, the ether being the static background of the universe that makes up the universe that everything is in. They called that the ether. In the Star Wars sagas, they called that the force, the energy that binds all of us together, that is in everything, right? It's also within you. Does that sound familiar? And everyone's like, well, they just stole that stuff from Taoism and Buddhism. Okay, so let's say that he did exactly that he stole all those concepts from the different religions and put them together to create the Jedi, that there are in some ways, samurai soldiers and all of that stuff put together in those Eastern philosophical ideologies. Okay, but now let's look at that energy that is the force, is the ether. It is the same kinetic energy that flows through the universe itself. Science knows that. So that would mean that these people that created these philosophical, spiritual ways of practice that turned into religions knew about this life force, this force of energy, this ether, this force, this life energy that flows through the universe. How did they know about that? How did they know about that when they didn't have our technology and our computers that we have? Yet they did know about it. At least if this was made up in 1928, they knew about it. But this was, if you say that this was just borrowed and stole from these ancient things, and that George Lucas did the same thing and borrowed it from the Taoists and the Buddhists and a few other religions, that information wasn't written when we discovered the ether bed in science, because everybody that is in science that's been working on that and calling that ether comes from Pythagoras and the Greeks, which was 5,000 years ago, 4,000, 5,000 years ago. So how did they know about this same exact information? And what else did they know about? Well, they did know about this. If these tablets did exist in that time, or if they didn't, they, back then, the Greeks, the Romans, and the Egyptians knew this information back then, because we have scrolls that they wrote down from back then, not that were written in the modern. This was discovered in 1928. Say we just all assume that it was just planted there in 1928 and made up. It was made up of the exact same information that was written in exactly all of those religions and all of those ways, and the scientific reasoning by the same scientific people and doctors and astrologers and everything from 5,000 years ago. That is what they're all copying from each other. And guess what's happening? In the modern today era, science is proving them right. It's proving that what they all have been saying for 20,000 years or more is accurate. So if the same people who wrote mathematics at that time, 4,000 years ago, were 100% accurate and we're proving that today, why is it that those exact same people are discredited when they talk about spirituality as make-believe? Let me say that one more time. If, in fact, science is proving all of those philosophic, spiritual things that these people have been saying about the physical universe to be accurate, why is it that the very same people who have spent 5,000 years trying to prove them wrong only to prove them right and think they invented things until they go, well, you know, the Greeks already said this. Well, the Asians already said this. The Chinese said this 3,500 years ago. The Japanese said this 3,500 years ago. The Egyptians said this 4,000 years ago. Isn't that just a coincidence? And then we talk about it on different podcasts and they go, how did those people know that stuff when they didn't have the tools that we have today? I don't know, but they seem to have known it. Well, what else did they know? Because the very same people who said those things that science is proving also said these things. Not a different person in their culture, the same people. Because back then, rock stars were rock stars. You had these philosophers, they were also mathematicians. Today, you think those jobs are, you know, somebody who's a scientist, he only deals with physics. And he only deals with the math of physics. And then there's an astrologer and an astronomer, and they're completely different ways of life. And those people have a certificate for that thing, and that's all they do. And they're an expert on that thing. Okay. And then you have the people that are doctors, and those are the people that are only the doctors, and that's what they have knowledge in, because that's the way it is today. Today, we have every single thing cut out into professions. Astronomy is an astronomy professional. An astrologer is an astrologer professional. Physics, oh, well, which type of physics do they deal with? Grand unified theories or string theory or math? Are they theoretical physicists or are they applied physics? Do you see? It's been cut out into little teeny segments where they only deal with one thing, and that's it. In the modern day, 5,000 years ago, one guy would be doing all of that. One guy would have the knowledge of the doctors and the chemicals and physics and astrology and astronomy. One person. There might be several of them, but they all had that kind of knowledge. Okay, so they were all doctors of all of that stuff. And they didn't have people go, well, where's your piece of paper that says that? Because they were talking about things that they knew and they could prove, and they probably had some sort of degrees like that because they went to college and they went to schools. but they didn't have professions to where they were fine-tuned to the point where they were just this one little teeny avenue. Like he talks about string theory his entire life. That's all he knows. Profession of string theory. This guy is the professional of theory, and that guy's the professional of numbers. And that's not the way they were back then. So the people back then talked about all of this stuff, and everyone knew it, and they all talked about it. Some people just didn't get involved in spirituality or metaphysics or things like that, but people knew about it. And they talked about it. So the people back then who were the ones who talked about all of this physics that has taken 5,000 years for modern physics to start figuring out, what everything they start figuring out is exactly what they already knew. And what happened? Why did we forget that? We forgot it at some point. What happened? How did we forget it at some point? Okay. We forgot it at some point because people made that happen. People burned books. People burned scrolls. People stopped teaching people about things and only kept it for themselves and their own family members at a particular time. Okay. And that is what has happened here. Okay. That is what has happened here. So people who decided that we need to make sure that nobody knows anything because they're easier to control did that. You don't have to believe me. Look it up in history. There is a definite timeline where things fell, the fall of the human race, where all of the books were burned and all of the education stopped, and then we don't know anything. And we're rediscovering the entire world, the universe, and how it works. And we think that we're the cutting edge of everything. And then when we look at these very people who are written down as philosophers and things like that, what do they know and what are they talking about? Well, they're just, they're talking about this craziness. And then when we start looking it up in physics, we start going back to what these people said. Well, there was this mathematician, his name was Pythagoras. And Pythagoras was, he invented all these numbers, and it looks like he was right 5,000 years ago. Pythagoras also talked about the ether bed. Pythagoras also talked about God. Pythagoras also talked about spirituality. Okay. But that information wasn't known to everybody, and they just go, well, let's see what he knew about physics. Let's see what he knew about math. We're not going to listen to whatever else he said because he's just crazy there. They also thought that these guys didn't know anything about math, and you're finding out that people all over the world all knew the same things about the universe. They all knew about it. They all knew all this math that we're just figuring out now. Well, they couldn't have, because if they did, they would have created all the technology that we created. No, they didn't need it. They didn't need all the technology, so they didn't create it. Okay? So that actually happened, and things fell. And that was designed by people. That was designed by people so that they could stay in charge, right? I wrote a book about it. This is a perfect time to pay the bills.
What is the reality about reality? Returning to the old ways. It is a comprehensive book about what is really going on here on this planet. It talks about the true spirituality that the controllers who think they own this planet have been keeping from you for thousands of years. It explains to you the knowledge that you gain from the universe itself when you live the way the prophets of the world throughout time told us how to live. Eat right, meditate, take care of yourself, treat others right. All the things they originally told us to do, but the controllers have removed from right in front of our eyes. The way to ascend to heaven. The reality about reality. Returning to the old ways. On sale worldwide, online now.
Okay, so let's go back here, right? So my ranting. Why? Because of what's here. All right. So let's read back up here, get caught up, and continue. All right. So 3 are the qualities of each of the natures. 3 lower 3 chakras, upper 3 chakras, 1 in the middle. 9 in all, as above, so below. 9 in all. Okay, not 7, but 9 in all. Okay. And the physical are these channels, the blood of which moves in vertical motion. Okay, so in the physical, there's these channels that blood moves in, veins, okay, reacting on the heart to continue its beating. So we have energy, we have electricity going to the heart, making it pump. We have veins that the heart pumps through. Okay, well, if they just invented this in 1928, we already knew the answer to that. So they could have just invented the emerald tablets, Leo, you say, right? Magnetism, which moves through the nerve paths. Not just electricity, magnetism. They didn't know that in 1928. They didn't know that there was an electromagnetic pathways in our body. They just knew that there was a kinetic energy, not magnetism, okay? Carrying the energies to our cells and tissues, akasha, right, which flows through our channels. Subtle yet physical, completing the channels. Each of the three attuned with each other, each affecting the life of the body. Form they the skeletal framework through which subtle ether flows. In their mastery lies the secret of the life in the body, okay? So let's continue.
But able to move above and below. 3 are the natures of mind, carrier it of the will of the Great One, arbitrator of cause and effect in thy life. Thus is formed the threefold being, directed from above by the power of 4. Above and beyond man's threefold nature lies the realm of the spiritual self. 4 is it in qualities, shining in each of the planes of existence, but 13 in 1, the mystical number. Based on the qualities of man are the brothers, each shall direct the unfoldment of being, each shall channels be of the Great One. On earth man is in bondage, bound by space and time to the earth plane, encircling each planet a wave of vibration. Binds him to his plane of unfoldment. Yet within man is the key to releasement. Within man may freedom be found. When ye have released the self from the body, rise to the outermost bounds of your earth plane. Speak ye the word, Dor-e-lil-la. Then for a time your light will be lifted. Free may ye pass the barriers of space. For a time of half of the sun, 6 hours. Free may ye pass the barriers of earth plane. See ye and know those who are beyond thee.
Okay, so on earth, man is in bondage, bound by the space and time to the earth plane, okay? Bound by space and time, because in this place, we have time, okay? Time exists in this place. So in this place, we have time, and we are stuck here. We're bound here. Why? Because we believe that this is real, okay? Each shall direct and unfold the being. Each shall channels be of the Great One. On earth, man is in bondage, bound by space and time to the earth plane. Encircling each planet, a wave of vibration binds him to his plane of unfolding. Yet within man, within you, is the key to releasing. Within the human condition, within each one of us, may freedom be found. So your Savior is within you. When we have released the self from the body, raised to the outermost bounds. So when you become aware, I've talked about this, forever, right? Talked about this. Let me put myself back up in full screen. So when you're first born in third dimension, you wake up and like the Greek said, I think, therefore I am. I think, therefore I am. Okay? And that is what you are supposed to realize. Self-awareness. I am aware, I think, self-aware, therefore I exist. That is the beginning of your journey. You're then supposed to, after a time, start figuring out that it's not I think physical, therefore I am. You then start to realize you're something else. There is something more. It's not just this physical plane. There is something else. I am not the pain body. I am not the thinking mind. I am not the ego. I am not the conscience. I am that which is telling this avatar what to do, what to think. I am the experiencer. Because when you stop thinking and you move to a place where the thinking mind and the ego can't reach you, you still exist. And this is what we show you with meditation. And if you don't believe in meditation, we'll show it to you in the physical plane because you do it every time, all the time, daily, sometimes daily. You do it when you see a sunrise or a sunset or something absolutely beautiful, the Grand Canyon, the waterfall at Niagara, something that is just, you have that awe moment where you look at it and you just go, wow. And then you stop and you just witness and experience that moment. In that moment, there's no thinking going on. So you're not the narrator. You're not the thinking. You're the experiencer that is experiencing that, and you're still alive. So your thinking mind does not need to be moving for you to be. And you do not cease to be if that thinking stops. You're still there. What is that? That is what you're supposed to achieve. So if you don't believe in God, if you don't believe in spirituality, you don't believe in philosophy, you don't believe in any of that, it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. That's not important. Because it still is a fact that you still exist without the thinking mind. And people go, I don't know, if I stop thinking, okay, so when you go to sleep, what's happening? You're not still thinking. Well, I'm dreaming. You don't dream all night. You don't dream all night long. People have put everybody in a bed. People put people in a bed and they study them and they film them. And they see how often they dream and how long they dream for. You do not dream all night long. And when you dream for seconds. And in that second that you dream can be years in your dream. How is that possible? Because it's outside of time. Okay? But you're also not thinking the entire time that you're asleep. Your body goes into a sleep state, which is like a test pattern. It's just like, it's running functions. It's healing your body. It's telling your body it's on autopilot, telling your body breathe, keep continuing to pump blood, digest the food, but slower because you're hibernating. Where did you go? Where are you? I'm sleeping. You're sleeping. Do you think you turn off? If you do, then how is it you still exist? Do you see? So I'd love to talk to people about that, right? Woo Riders, welcome. We're doing good. Thank you for asking. We're doing good. Thank you for asking. I hope you're doing good. I hope you and your family are doing well as well. So where are you when you're asleep? You're not dreaming constantly. Look up dreams. Look up dream studies. People don't dream all night long. So where do they go? What happens to them? Does something happen? You just turn off, right? So you just turn off. Well, I just turn off. Wink. So what are you, a robot? Someone flicks a switch on you and you go, geek. And you stay frozen until you go, geek. You turn back on when you wake up. Ooh, phew. Then you're a robot, and you're an avatar, and you're a AI. You're not a person. How could you be alive if you have to go every night? Okay, so where do you go? You should ask that question. That'll expand your consciousness. That is what that is about. So you start pondering that, and eventually you're supposed to get to the point where you say, first, it's I think, therefore I am. Then you're supposed to get to a place where you go, I am, therefore I think. I am, therefore I think. Okay? I am not the pain body. I am not the thinking mind. I am not the conscience. I am not the ego. I am something else. That's when you're moving into the upper three chakras, into the spiritual. I am actually something that is eternal. I am something that is outside of this time, space. This is what, in this last portion, let me put it back up on the screen here, in this last portion of Emerald Tablet 15, it's what they're telling you. Let me go back over here and then we'll continue, right? So, literally, bound by space and time to the earth, encircling each planet, a wave of vibration as above, so below, binds him to the plane of unfoldment. Okay, binds him to the plane of unfoldment. So if you're in in the act of unfolding. That means you're in the act of becoming something. Within man may freedom be found. When ye have released the self from the body, raised to the outermost bounds. Okay, so when you realize I am something more than being stuck in this body, I am, therefore I think, is when you start expanding your consciousness to start unlocking this information. It's being told to you right here. Let's continue here.
Yea, to the highest worlds may ye pass. See your own possible heights of unfoldment. Know all earthly futures of soul. Bound are ye in your body, but by the power ye may be free. This is the secret whereby bondage shall be replaced by freedom for thee. Calm let thy mind be, at rest be thy body. Conscious only of freedom from flesh, center thy being on the goal of thy longing. Think over and over that thou wouldst be free. Think of this word, la e el genuver, and over in thy mind let it sound. Drift with the sound to the place of thy longing, free from the bondage of flesh by thy will. Hear ye while I give the greatest of secrets, how ye may enter the halls of Amenti.
Okay, so literally, right? You're thinking of a word. He says, think of this word, la il ganuver. Well, we don't know what those words mean in English, right? But you can imagine what would that be that you would be thinking over and over in your mind to break free of things, right? We could probably try and look those up. I don't know what those words mean, right? I mean, there was also a word, dor e lil la, speak those words. So you have to figure out some things, right? But when you have released the self from the body, raised to the outermost bounds of the earth plane, speak ye the words, then for a time your light will be lifted. Free may ye pass the barriers of space for a time of half of the sun, 6 hours. Free may ye pass the barriers of earth plane, see and know those who are beyond thee. Ye, right, yea to the highest worlds may ye pass. See your own possible heights of unfoldment. Okay, so here's that unfoldment again, where you're learning to fly, where you're learning to leave the body. You're learning to leave the body by what? Meditating, by praying, by imagining it, by what? By a Zen moment, by an out-of-body experience, by dream walking, by a dream, all of the above, none of the above. Okay, unfoldment, heights of unfoldment. Know ye all earthly futures of soul. Bound are ye in your body, but by the power ye may be free. This is the secret whereby bondage shall be replaced by freedom. Okay? So you have to calm the mind, right? Calm let thy mind be. At rest be thy body. Conscious only of freedom of the flesh. Center the body, right? So let me just start translating this into modern English for you. Okay? So you're bound to your body, but by your own power, you can be free. This is the secret of the bondage and how to become free. Okay? Replaced by freedom for thee, right? Calm your mind, be at rest. So relax, get yourself into a calm place to meditate, lay down, don't fall asleep, sit calmly, calm your mind. Be conscious of your intention should be focused on conscious only of freedom from the flesh. So you think calmly, focus your thoughts on being free from the bounds of time and space. Center your being on the gold that you're longing for. So center yourself, calm yourself, ground yourself, and then focus Focus on being not just in the body, but who you are, who you truly are. Think over and over that you want to be free. Okay? So over and over in your mind, let that sink in. I want to be free. I don't want to be stuck here by the bounds of the physical plane. Who am I? I am not the pain body. I'm going to be doing a meditation, by the way. And I think I'll use this as the first guide of the meditation for the first meditation. I'll be doing videos. So to literally move from the physical plane to a different plane. Drift with the sound of the place of thy longing. So this is why in meditation that we'll say, go to your happy place, whatever that is. Sometimes we tell people go into a cave. It depends on what it is that you wish as you could have a library. It could be your grandmother's kitchen, whatever, your bedroom under the covers when you were a kid, whatever it is, whatever that place is that's comfortable for you. You want to focus on that quiet place, that place that is special to you. It could be a river, it could be a stream, it could be right. So you're going to go to that place that is not where you're sitting, or maybe the place you're in is your bliss, is your space that you've set up for meditation. If that's it, then you're comfortable there. You see what I mean? This is what they're saying for you to do. Okay. So you think about that over and over, drift to the sound of that place, free from the bondage of flesh you will be. You will then be out of body. You will then start to realize, I am not that body. Okay. Hear ye, I will give you the greatest secret, how ye may enter the halls of Amente, enter the palace or the place of the immortals as I did, stand before the lords in their places. Okay. So what you probably heard me and many other people talking about that. The halls of Amente, the Akashic records, the whatever you call that. You could call it some people call it the Great Hall, the library of knowledge. There's many different names for it. Each person, usually not always, but a lot of times people make up their own word for it. It's that place of knowing, that place of learning, right? That you go to when you're doing that. So let's continue with this, and because we're getting down to the end of it, right?
Enter the place of the immortals as I did. Stand before the lords in their places. Lie down in rest of thy body. Calm thy mind, so no thought disturbs thee. Pure must ye be in mind and in purpose, else only failure will come unto thee. Vision Amenti as I have told in my tablets, long with fullness of heart to be there. Stand before the lords in thy mind's eye. Pronounce the words of power I give.
Okay, so you have to realize that your intention creates your reality. Your focus creates your reality. Okay? Your intention, let me say that again. Put myself up in full screen. Your intention creates your reality. Your focus determines your reality. We don't see reality for how it truly is. We see reality through the eyes of who we are. All of our experiences, all of what we think, all of our experiences, right and wrong, ups and downs, everything that we have experienced is in our minds, and that's how we determine what we see and what we feel as reality. Okay? So we never truly perceive reality for what it is. We every single person, you get 10 people together and show them something or have them do something, the same experience, put them on a ride together at Disneyland, separate them after the ride at Disneyland and ask them to tell you and explain to you the ride at Disneyland, you're going to get 7 different, however many people you have there, stories of what they felt, what they remembered, and what experience they had. That's important. Okay. That is important because we're all supposed to have individual experiences, but your focus determines your reality. So let me pull that back up on the screen. So if you're trying to then go to the halls of Amente or out of body experience, okay, you have to rest out. I'm just banging myself in the head with my glasses trying to put them on. You have to calm the mind, right? No thoughts disturb you. So you have to, if you're going to meditate, you have to meditate in a quiet place. You got to turn off your phone. You can't have notifications on. You can't, if you can do it with music playing that'll help you and assist you, that's okay. But you don't want to have your phone sitting there to where you're sitting there and it's going blip, 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 because it's going to create a scenario that's going to get your attention, right? So you have to turn off all of those things. Relax. That's why they have us being distracted by all of that. All of those distortions, all of those distractions are keeping us from doing these things. Do you see? That's what it's designed for. Your cell phone, if you look at people nowadays, they're walking down the street, 90% of them are staring at their cell phone, walking to their car, staring at the cell phone, walking down the street. It's rare when you see people not looking at their cell phone. That distraction is keeping you from pondering anything in life, except for, what was that? What were they doing there? Look at that kid. Look at that kitty. It's so cute. And today the AI is blowing up grandma across the street from a cat. Cat's coming out with bazookas, and you know what I mean? It's all that crazy stuff. So you want to lay down. You want to rest the body, calm the mind, so that no thought disturbs you. So you don't want to have all of your stuff turned on. You need to have it turned off so you don't hear that. You're not distracted. Close your eyes, relax. I used to do this a lot when I was younger, a lot. Else only failure will come to you, right? So then you vision what that place is in your mind. See, I got to go through this with people all the time. In fact, I'm working with Brooke. I'm working with my wife right now so that she can visually see the halls of Amente. So what does it look like to you? Right? Because it's going to manifest to every single person slightly different, even though the things are the same. Some people will then, over time, start seeing it exactly the way other people see it. Because everything that is created by the minds of everybody. So everything that is going on here on the earth is going on the earth because we're all recreating it. We're all agreeing on it. We all agree that there's countries and governments and monies. That there's a societal structure that we are all living in that is global, and that we have to abide by those certain laws because we've all agreed to that, right? Each country has a set of laws that we agree to. And that means that those laws are being upheld, and we agree that they should be upheld because we're people who are civilized, and we believe that there should be laws that govern so that people don't do bad things. Do you see? Right? Oh, we only believe that because somebody told us that we have to do that, right? That's somebody who wants lawlessness. Otherwise they wouldn't, because there are just some things that we shouldn't be doing. People shouldn't be raping and killing other people. Shouldn't be stealing things. Shouldn't be beating people up. They shouldn't be doing certain things. Those are just normal things that you shouldn't be doing, commonsensical things, right? But we all have to agree on those. Otherwise, we're living under a dictatorship, and then we all have to agree that that person is in charge. Otherwise, we'll end up overthrowing that person or whatever. You see my point? So they either force you to live by their leave, or you agree to live by their leave, or whatever. And that's why they've done what they've done on this earth, because they understand that. They understand that, and so they force you without forcing you. They get you to believe and buy into their system without, whatever it is, without harm or without threat to you, by distracting you 24 hours a day. Okay. So if you want to figure this stuff out, you have to start taking time for yourself to learn the self. How do you do that? This is part of it right here. How do you learn the self? Well, you learn yourself by spending time with yourself. Who am I? You have to start asking those questions. So the only way that you can do that and improve yourself is that you have to become no longer subjective about yourself. You're not a slave to yourself. You have to be honest with yourself, objective, be honest with yourself and say, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I've made a few. It's in a song old song from the 1970s, right? By Queen, right? Mistakes, I've made a few. That's part of the lyrics from one of the songs. You have to see that about yourself and realize that. Then you have to learn certain things. I am not the thinking mind. I am not the ego. I am not the painting body. I am something else. I am the witnesser, the experiencer that is causing this body to be alive. I am, therefore, I think. I am, therefore, this body is. That's the expansion of your consciousness past third dimension, past 3D, past this place. This place is not happening to you. It's happening for you. You see that right there. So if you want to get out of here, you have to look at those things. How do I get out of here? You have to look within yourself. Balance yourself, calm yourself, realize yourself is not this body. That realization, that moving in your consciousness from the belief that I am this place, I think, therefore I am in this place, to I am someplace else, not this place. I am forever. This body is not. That's the realization. It's nothing to do with God. If you don't believe in God, that doesn't matter. Do you see? You don't have to believe in God for that to matter. But if you want to then say only God, if you think there's a God, then you think that there's life forever, then you'll never be anything but what you are currently. And if I believed that 100%, I would be in charge of this planet, or I would die trying. If I believed I only had one life to live, and that was it, I would not squander it not trying to take over. I would not squander this life not trying to kill anybody in my way to become king of the world, because there's no reason not to. Because if this is the only life, then I'm gonna own everything. They can't even have you thinking that. So they need you to not think that. Even though they want to tell you there's no God, but they don't want you going, well, then why the hell am I not in charge? This is all there is. I'm taking it. There's no reason for me to even worry about it. See, they don't want you doing that either. They want you to believe there's consequences. Think about that. They want you to believe there's consequences for your actions. There's no God though, but if you believe in that, don't be bad because God will judge you. That's how they try to keep everybody in line. Because let's just go there. Let's go there. If there is no God, then nothing matters. Well, then we have to have laws. Why? If there is no God and there is nothing other than this life you're in, what are you doing with it? Are you a coward? Because you must be, because you're doing nothing but what they want you to. Let's forget about all that. If there is no God and there is no life after this one, why are you settling for what someone else is giving you? So I say this to everybody when they say, well, there is no God, and I'm just a product of my environment. That's a cop-out. You're weak. You're useless. And you need to be executed. People look at me and go, what? The hell did you just say? Because if you believe there is no God and there is no afterlife and there is nothing but this life, then why are you sitting on your ass complaining about life? You should be taking it by the balls and making it give you what you desire. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. So no matter what you believe, you shouldn't be settling for crap. So if there is no God and there is only this life, you should be trying to make sure that you have a really good one. And then you should be saying to yourself, well, then my kids, I'm going to make sure that they have a good one too. That's what rich people are doing who are in service to self. They believe there is only one life. And at the end of it, the only thing you have is what you give to your children. And they have taken control of this place to make sure they own most of it, if not all of it, so that they can give it to their kids, so their kids can give it to their kids, and it can be owned by them forever, for all of eternity. Because that's what they believe. They believe there is nothing. And if there is nothing and they're correct, then all of us should believe the same thing. And if that's the case, the Rockefellers need to come down off that fucking mountain because it's mine now. Okay? So no matter what, and this is the purpose of me saying this, no matter what you believe, you shouldn't be settling for just junk. Because if you're scared about dying and you think there's nothing after, you need to get off your butt and do something. Okay? You need to make your life better. Okay? And if you believe that there is something other than this life, you believe there is a God, then what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? No matter what are you waiting for? Because you should be doing something other than what you're doing, unless your life is great and you love it. If your life is great and you're okay with it and you love your life, then don't listen to a word I'm saying. Live it. But if you're wondering about life, what else is there? Is there a God? Is there no God? Am I living in a simulation? Am I not living in a simulation? Is this real? Is this fake? Is this a dream? There's ways of testing all of that. And most of the answers to all of those questions is still the answer is get off your butt and do something. Okay? Because if you believe that there's a God, then live your life like that. If you believe there's no God, live your life like that. If you believe this is the only life you have, live your life like that. Because otherwise, if you're looking around at the world and what are you doing? I hate my job. Then why are you working there? This is what I tell people all the time. They're like, I hate my job. Then why are you doing it? Because I've been doing it for 20 years. Why? Ask yourself that. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you not doing what you want to do? Because somebody won't let you? Is that what it is? Do you live in a society that when you were born, they said you were going to be a carpenter or a teacher or a shoemaker or a seamstress? Or do you live in a society where you can be whatever you want to be? Okay? Where do you live in the world and what do you do? So if you're in a society that lets you be whatever you want to be, and you hate your job, change it. What do you have to do to change it? Stop being so lazy. That's what's going on. What's going on is you're spending all of your time going flick, 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 flick on your phone because they have you addicted to it. That's where you spend all of your life. You're not doing anything to better yourself. Flick, 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 unless you're actually using that, going flick, 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 flick to try and better yourself. But if you don't like what you got, you're the reason you got it. Because you're the only reason that you'll have something different. No one's giving you anything. No one owes you anything, no matter what you think. God doesn't owe you anything. The world doesn't owe you anything. The world doesn't need to take care of you. Okay? If, no matter what, put whatever your belief is after that. If this is what's going on this planet, and what I'm doing right now, what I want for the rest of my life. The answer to that is yes. Stop listening to me and continue doing what you're doing. The answer to that is no. Ask yourself, why am I doing what I'm doing then? Doesn't matter any of that other crap. They have you so distracted. Right or left politics, up or down politics, good or evil, God or no God, flat world, no flat world, round world, no round world. Education, no education, TikTok, YouTube, Star Trek, Star Wars. They have you so choosing a side in everything that's going on that means absolutely fuck all. And all you do is like a fish in the water, like a dorkfish, you don't even wonder why there's a hot dog under the ocean. You go, hot dog under the ocean? What's a hot dog doing under the ocean? I don't know. I'm going to eat it. Up you go. Every time they put a carrot in front of you, you go, carrot! Let me get that carrot! And then you stop. You don't realize that the carrot keeps moving away from you. You just keep running towards it. Oh, I'm going to get the carrot. Because that's what you're doing. Flick, 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 flick. That's what you're doing. You're running in place on a hamster wheel. And you know it, and you know it. That's the fucked up part. You know you're running in place in a hamster wheel. And you're still doing it. Okay? I'm going to continue so we can finish this. We'll see if anybody gets this far into this to make any comments about what I just said, because most people would have ended this and not listened to me to get here, because you don't have the attention span to know it, because you're flicking, flick. I can't stop for like 3 hours and listen to this fucking guy, right? That's why I make those small videos, because of that. All right, let me go back over here so we can finish this today, because I've been doing the Emerald Tablets far too long. Ooh, pardon me. Let's get it done, right? Let's go back over here. All right. So before the lords of thine mind's eye, okay, so long with fullness of heart to be there. So you literally, if you want to get to the Akashic Records, if you want to get to anywhere you want to be in life, you need to sit down. That's why I went on that long tangent. Whatever it is, even if you don't care about the halls of Mente, I don't care about that spirituality stuff. All right, you want a better job? You need to sit down and you need to focus. You need to focus on the job that you want. What is the job that I want to do? Figure that out, discover it. Then you need to focus on it. What do I need to do starting today to get that better job I want? Then you need to say, can I do those things? Do I understand how to do those things, or can I just apply for that job? Well, I don't have the skills for that job. Now you're getting somewhere. You want to learn that. You want to figure that out. That means, what do I have to do? Well, I might have to go to night school. I might have to, to start spending less time on the internet and more time learning a trade so I have better life. So if you want to better your life, you're the one who has to do it. If you want to find your way spiritually, you're the one that has to do it. You have to look within yourself, and you have to determine what your focus is and where you want to get to. So if you want to see the halls of Amente, that Akashic record, that place where all the knowledge is, you have to look for it. It's not going to be given to you. You have to do the work. So you have to sit down, shut up, turn your shit off, figure out where this place is. I got to reach out to it. You want to get to heaven? You got to sit down, shut up, figure it out, and reach up halfway, because God's reaching down, waiting for you to reach up to him. If you don't reach up to God, God's not coming back. Well, it said in the Bible. No, it didn't. The thing that they always throw at you is God will come as a thief in the night, saying that God's going to come back, and we don't know when that's going to be, but God's going to come back, so look out and be good for goodness sake. You should read that stuff instead of listen to people quoting it, to find out the context that was written in, because it wasn't saying, wait here, I'm coming back in a Volkswagen bus to come get you. It's not what it said. Okay? It's not what it was saying. It was saying you need to do the work to get out of there. You need to stop sitting down, eating of the tree of life, getting drunk, doing drugs, all that stuff, eating crap foods, living in the flesh. You want to get out of here, you got to start thinking about spirituality. You got to be a good person. Otherwise, if you're a bad person, you're just going to recycle over and over. That is the laws of what's going on in the universe. That's the way the universe is actually designed. So if you want to get out of here, you have to become spiritual. You don't believe it, you're going to stay here. I'm not here to be your savior. I'm just here telling you what's going on. I'm here to tell you what's going on. You can believe me or not. I don't care. I don't, because I'm not here to save you. I'm here to leave tools for those who are looking for them, just like all these other people. If you choose to pay attention, you'll learn something. If you think I'm crazy, keep running on that little Ferris wheel. Okay. So if you want to learn about how to get to the halls of Amente, you got to look for the halls of Amente. You got to find out what is that? Where do I think it might be? Well, it's not on the physical, is it? Because somebody would have said, here's a roadmap to it. Check your Google Maps and ask Google Maps, where's the halls of Amente? Unless somebody names some place, the halls of Amente, you're not finding it on Google Maps, right? So the key to Shambhala, have you heard that term? Now give I the key to Shambhala. Look that up. They made a movie talking about that, Shambhala. Shambhala is something, right? The place where the brothers live in the darkness, but filled with light of the sun, O darkness of earth, but light of the spirit, guide for ye when my day is done. Leave thou. So is Shambhala in this sense talking about heaven, Valhalla, Elysium, right? Paradise. Okay. And when you leave the body, or is that where the Akashic records are? Leave thou thy body as I have taught thee. Pass to the barriers of the deep. Let's continue.
Mentally. Nekut el Shab el Hail Shur ben el Zabrut Zin Ephraim Quar el. Relax thy mind and thy body, then be sure your soul will be called. Now give I the key to Shambhala, the place where my brothers live in the darkness. Darkness but filled with light of the sun, darkness of earth but light of the spirit. Guides for ye when my day is done. Leave thou thy body as I have taught thee. Pass to the barriers of the deep, hidden place. Stand before the gates and their guardians. Command thy entrance by these words. I am the light. In me is no darkness. Free am I of the bondage of night. Open thou the way of the 12 and the 1, so I may pass to the realm of wisdom. When they refuse thee, as surely they will, command them to open by these words of power. I am the light.
Okay, hold on. While we're sitting here, I'm going to give you guys the Orion Coalition of Light. Those of you on the MP3 broadcast, you're just going to hear the music and the chanting. But those of you who see the visuals, you'll be able to see this. Okay, so what is that? Durante Jackson. Yeah, there's many. Let me put that up on the screen so you guys understand what I'm saying. There's also a striking visual movie, like a rendering of the Emerald Tablets on Astral Legends. Yeah, I almost used that. The one that I'm using right now. Let me come out of full screen here so you can see. The one that I'm using right now is from Altruism Grace Media. Did I say that right? Altruism Grace Media. That's who, and you can see the symbol on the screen. I don't know if you guys can see my cursor when I do that, but there's a symbol on the screen down below. I think you can see at least when I pop up. I don't know if you can see my cursor, but you can see when I pop up and the bottom screen moves. But there's a symbol that's there that I decided to use that one only because they had had the words with it. But there's many of them that you guys can take a look at where if you guys are in some way interested. Yeah, you guys can see the symbol down on the right and my cursor. Okay, good. So yeah, there's many different ones that if you guys want to listen to or watch the Emerald Tablets, I would suggest doing that because there's some that they do where they break them down like I've done. There's some that they do, like with AI these days, they make a movie out of it. It's really cool that they do that with a lot of stuff, right? So yes, I agree. I don't know if I'm subscribed to those people. I'll have to look, but I've listened to them on several different platforms. I always try to do that to see if there's a different translation with everything, because I'm a theologian. I do that. So when I go on to like YouTube or anywhere and I'll say, listen to it or watch it, I'll listen to the whole thing. Then I'll go to another person's version of it to see is there a difference in translation, or is everybody using the same translation? And then I actually went and read them as well to find out, right, what is the translation that's being done? Are they changing things? Because some people change things. There's some people that are African, and they're trying to say that Thoth the Atlantean was Egyptian, and they changed the words that they were using for God to Anubis or one of their gods. And that is actually what people do more often than you think. When that's where people that are theologians realize that. So it's not like it's illegal to do that, because everyone does it. People take a scroll that they find and they then want to sell it to their culture. So then they change the name of the deity to their deity from the culture and go look. And that's what they do all over the place. I mean, look at Jesus's birthday. Right? So you have the Christians, the Roman Catholic Church, trying to sell Christianity to the Vikings of the North, and they changed Jesus's birthday to December 25th. Right? Jesus couldn't have been born that day because his conception date was in December. So was Mary's, the Mother Mary. Her conception date was also in December. One was the 9th and one was the 11th. I think, don't quote me, don't get mad, but they're real close. So Jesus, his conception date, Immaculate Conception, was in December. So he couldn't have been born in December because he was either more than a year old in the womb, which they would have told about, that he had a longer incubation period, or she conceived him and then gave birth like a week, 2 weeks later. That's not the case. So they just changed the dates. They didn't even change the date. They could have changed the date and said he was conceived at this time to make it fit, but they didn't do that. Right? Why didn't they? Right? Jesus' birthday was somewhere in September 8th, 9th, 10th, or 11th. Somewhere in that time period. 9 months from December 9th, 10th, or 11th is September 9th, 10th, or 11th. Okay. So Jesus was not, in fact, born in December. But why is it that they now say that Jesus was born in December? Because the gods they were trying to, or the religion they were trying to replace with their religion had this December 25th date of the solstice and some things that were going on, including a god, right? The death and resurrection had to be at the exact same time. It had to be for the North American continent. It had to be at that time of March, April. Why? Because that was when the god in the Northern Hemisphere was born. He was born and he gave life to the world. Springtime for the Northern Hemisphere. But Jesus was not born. He was born in Jerusalem. Are they in the Northern Hemisphere or the Southern Hemisphere? Jesus died and was resurrected. It was the life-bringing. So things have changed, is my point. Okay? Right? Things have changed and things do change. And people do that. We know that. The Zechariah Sitchin, when he was translating the Anunnaki word, he was trying to teach himself how to translate the cuneiform of the Mesopotamians. And he read the word Anu. he knew enough to know that that was possibly the god Anu. Mesopotamians didn't have a god named Anu. But on the border of Mesopotamia was another country called Arcadia. They were Greeks. The Greeks had a god called Anu. So Sitchin, back in 1948, thought that it's possible that the Mesopotamians borrowed that god and put it in their scroll. So the god Anu, Ki, forget about the word Na, Anu Ki, God Anu came to earth. He didn't translate the word Na, didn't understand what it was, right? And it was like a silent word, Na. Okay. So because of that, Giorgio Tsoukalos and the History Channel's Ancient Aliens grabbed a hold of that and said, this is the gospel. He translated it and said the god Anu came. Alien God came down to earth. Spawned the Anunnaki. That was in 2012. And then in 2015, again on another episode, Giorgio Tsoukalos said, those from the heavens came. Not Anu. Now those, an entire species of people. So the Anunnaki since 2015 has now become a species of aliens who have come down to earth. That's the progression of how the Anunnaki became a species. Borrowed, possibly, from the Greeks, a god Anu, then borrowed for money and ratings by Giorgio Tsoukalos to become a species. Okay? And everybody says, no, they've now added that to the charts. They've also changed Marduk's name in some places to Marduk Anunnaki. So now Marduk is an Anunnaki. Marduk was never an Anunnaki until 2015, 2016. Now all of a sudden Marduk is an Anunnaki and there's a Anunnaki on the pantheon, right? You have to do your own due diligence to figure out that. But people do that. They get a god and they change the name, right? So Enki, right? Enki Anu, right? Is the line Anu dragon queen, right? Because the Tiamat was the right. So yeah, see, so you're looking at it right. Anu, let's see what it says here. Let me put it up on the screen. Anu, the father, I guess it's supposed to be of, right? Of Enlil and Enki, right? Anu is from the line and dragon queens, right? So, but see, but that doesn't mean a species of aliens, does it? Do you see my point? So it doesn't mean a species of alien came down. It's still a god. Well, in the pantheon of the ancient aliens, there are no gods. They're actually just people in a spaceship. Do you see? So they claim that all gods, Thor, Odin, all of them are just made up because they were aliens who came here. So now they're claiming, right? I'm friends with all these people. Don't get me wrong. I'm not throwing rocks at them because I think they're wrong. Well, I do think they're wrong, but they're making money. I created Ancient Aliens Worldwide on Facebook, and I still own it and have people running it because it actually helps people to expand their consciousness. But do I believe that all of the gods of all of the Bibles were all created by the Anu? No. Because when you look at where those people got that scroll from, they didn't invent that. Those people got that scroll from the Greeks and an ideology, right? So we're saying in there that Anu, right, it was not the god Anu. That word meant something different. Well, Zachariah Stitchin said it was the god Anu. Do you see? So I agree with you. So there was some problem there. High priestess, not gods. Thank you. Thank you, my friend. I love you. I try to tell people this, right? It meant either the priest, I said that, it meant either the prince or the priest came, not a god, for crying out loud. Thank you very much. I love you, my friend. Follow me, please, so I can follow you back, so we can get to know one another. Because I tell people this all the time. It did not mean a god came from outer space. It meant either a high priest, priestess, or royalty came, right? Thank you for that. Agreed. Let me put that up on the screen. I'm going to put that up on the screen for those of you who have been wondering whether I know what I'm talking about or not. Look, here's someone down here or up there, depending on which platform you're watching on. If you're watching on the wide screen, it's down here. If you're on your cell phone, it's up there, okay? High priest, not gods. In freaking capital letters. You should have put an exclamation point, brother. True story. Okay, so not gods, right? Thank you for that. Thank you for that validation. Man, I hope everybody sees this because I'm always saying that. And people are like, no, the Anunnaki are, now they're saying the Anunnaki created all religions. Yeah, okay, so yeah. Not higher beings, no higher beings, just freaking priest, man, priestess. Thank you. Okay, so true story. Higher beings, but not gods. Thank you. Okay, not gods. Higher up on the pecking order. Okay, so yeah, so they're saying that all the gods, all those people that have the god title in every religion was created by the Anunnaki because now they have become our overlords in their minds. They have become our overlords and creator gods. So everything that was a theory that there were these creator gods has now turned to the Anunnaki as being the creator gods who created all of us in the minds of the ancient aliens people. And now they're added the Anunnaki to the god pantheon of the Mesopotamians. Anunnaki, right? The word was Anunnaki, 2 words. I mean, even though there was no spaces, it was Anunnaki. The Na means not God. You probably know that as much as I do. Anunna meant not God. Priest, priestess, prince, princess. It meant station at, just above commoners in a religion or in the hierarchy. Anunna, not Anunnaki. Okay, not Anu-ki. Anunna-ki, not a god. Okay, so, but I'm not 100% fluent in that language. However, I do know enough to know that. However, but like, let's get back on point, and then we'll get back to finishing the thing. However, people do get scrolls, and the stories are similar to their stories, so they want to show it to their people, and they'll change the god name to their god. Okay, and that's what everyone does. You have the Egyptians doing that now today, some of them, with the emerald tablets, because now they're saying that the emerald tablet, that Thoth was in fact Egyptian. And then they're also saying that about Hermes. Hermes, Trismegistus, 3 times great, they're saying was Egyptian, but most of the people said that he was Greek. So I know that he was there in both places. I don't know, honestly, I haven't looked into what the person looked like, but if you look up a statue of Hermes, he's not African. He's Greek. Right? There are no, as far as I know, there's no statues of Hermes Trismegistus who looks African. He looks Greek, right? He looks European. Let's see, Anunnaki, those who came from the heavens or cosmos, right? And that's what they're saying. Yeah, they're saying Anunnaki, those from the heavens. That is exactly those from the heavens or the cosmos. So they're saying that it was, alien species that came down here to Earth. Whether it really was or not doesn't actually matter like people think, but they were not our creators. We were already here before they came here, right? And they're like, oh no, they're the ones who created us, right? So that's just because we can only trace our lineage today as humans back to 77,000 years ago, because at that time there was a calamity that destroyed everybody on the earth. We know about that because it's written in all the religions, right? Sutur, the destroyer, Shiva, the destroyer of worlds. If you read the Colburn Bible from Scotland, they talk about the destroyer of worlds. Those scrolls, the first part of the Colburn Bible in Scotland came out of Egypt with Moses. And the Irishmen, the Scottish monks got a hold of those, copied the scrolls and took them back there, and the Scots put it into their Bible. So that was a destruction of the earth that happened. And then when you have people looking at that calamity, did it actually happen, right? Did it actually happen? Marduk and Thoth. Well, see, if you look at that pantheon, right? Enlil's sons, Marduk and Thoth. So if you look at all of those pantheons, I don't know if Thoth is on that. I don't remember seeing Thoth on that tree, that God tree, or the structure of the tree for Marduk. I don't remember Thoth being on there, but it is possible they are today. I don't know that Thoth is on there. So Thoth's claiming that he was an Atlantean in Atlantis. Is it possible that name was known to more cultures? If Thoth, what I'm doing now, is true in what Thoth said, then Thoth was all over the world. Thoth was talking to people around the world. So if that's the case, it's very possible that Thoth did exist in the time 77,000 years ago and prior, in that culture that would be obviously pre-dynastic or even pre-dynastic in Egypt, not post-dynastic, but pre-dynastic. So in the time of the Sphinx being built, which Robert Schoch thinks may have been 125 to 128 to 130,000 years ago, we're now saying Stonehenge was created by that civilization that died 77,000 years ago, right? So there was a world civilization like there is today that ceased to be 77,000 years ago when it looks like an asteroid came too close to the planet, flipped it over on its axis, and then flipped back up on its axis, really wreaked havoc, and almost 90% or more of the population of the Earth died from that. And we are the repopulation of the Earth from that calamity, right? So Thoth's Nibiru name is how am I saying that right? Ningazeta. I've heard that word, maybe because I was reading that. Okay, so they called him by another name. Okay, because that's just I talk about those semantics too. When people today say, "Well, Jesus is not even his name. His name's Yahweh," I'm like, you do realize that, like, say Yahshua is a translation. The word Jesus is a translation into English that made its way to Jesus because it went from Sanskrit of, say, Yahshua or Joseph, basically. Yahshua, Yoshef, Yahshua. Let's look at Yahshua, and then it went into Greek, and then from Greek to Latin and Latin to English. And when you do that, and you translate that, if you look up the etymology of it, you'll see that. So in the Greek, it comes out like Yahshua comes out Yoshua, Yosef, and it almost sounds like Jesus, Yoshua, Yeshus, or something like that. I don't remember exactly how. Don't get after me about my Greek, right? But you can look up the etymology of the word. So the word Jesus that we use today in English is just a translation that's come from Sanskrit through, I don't think it went through Coptic. I think it went from Sanskrit directly to Greek, and then from Greek to Latin, and the Romanized word that we're using in English today. So people are like, Jesus wasn't even his name. They're lying to you. No, it's just a translation. It's like my name is Leonard. In Greek, that's Leonidas back then. When Leonidas was there, it means Lionheart. Okay? That's the same name. Leonardo, like Leonardo DiCaprio or Leonardo da Vinci. His name is Leonard. Lionheart. Okay? So if somebody's translated my name to Leonidas, and people say, oh, you just lied. His name's not Leonidas. That's just the word in another language, man. So, yeah, I see that about, and people don't realize that. And they go, so Yahshua is not real. He's no Yahweh. He's not Jesus. And I'm like, no, it's actually just a translation from Sanskrit and then lost in translation as it went through other languages to get to modern English. So now we say Jesus instead of, Yeshuas, I think is how it was, Yeshuas, which came from Yahshua. Yahshua in Sanskrit, Yeshuas to Jesus in modern English. It's been 2,000 years, translation of languages. And it may have gone through more than one. If you take it from Sanskrit, put it into another Hebrew or, Yiddish, Farsi, or, put it into any of the Arabic languages, then go Coptic, Greek, Latin, English. That's a long ways away from his name at the time of his birth. Do you see? People don't realize that. They also don't realize history and the way things are when it comes to that stuff. So is Thoth the same person? Probably, because he was around back then and they had different names for that person. So is it possible that Odin is the same person as Osiris? Well, if you look at the different gods, they have almost identical similarities. You can look at Shiva and put those gods in order, and you'll see that they have very similar qualities to each other. So did somebody borrow those stories, or is it interpretation of the same person by different people? The reason I say that as a theologian, if you look at all of the religions, there are similarities that everyone says, oh no, that's just them borrowing from the oldest scroll. And right now the Enuma Elish is the oldest scroll, so they must be the original. And they said that prior to that with another one until they found that one. So they'll continue until they find another one that's older. And then if it has the same storyline in it, they'll go, well, there's the one they all copied it from. Instead of asking the question, what are they copying? What's the content? What is it that's similar? Because here's the thing. Take away the idea, right, that all of that was that way. Or keep that in mind. Then go to Lao Tzu in China, 634 BCE, around that area, 630 to 640 BCE, at the same time in that same country that the Buddha was there. Were they the same person? Did they go to the same school? Did Lao Tzu teach the Buddha? Did the Buddha teach Lao Tzu? Because they came up with the same way. Okay? They came up with the same way. That way is not in the Enuma Elish. But it is. That way is something that they were teaching before Jesus. Jesus gets here and he's teaching. Well, he was missing for a long time. He probably went there and learned it. Very possible. Very possible that he went there and he was continuing to teach it. Why was it important? This is the important thing. Why was it important enough for a certain thing to be taught to everybody over and over? And why did that not change? That's the important thing. The story in the Enuma Elish of Marduk defeating Tiamat is the same story of Thor defeating the dragon of the North Sea. It's the same story of Jesus defeating the serpent in the garden. It's the same story of Moses defeating the serpent gods of the Egyptians, Ramses II. It's the same descent and resurrection. It is the same in the flesh, becoming something more and illuminating and saving the world. It's the same story. It hasn't changed. Story of the Christ is the same story in every pantheon, that some hero savior character goes on the same quest and defeats some great evil that usually has something to do with, a serpent or a dragon or something. And some people say all of that was changed when the creator gods got here, because the serpents and the dragons were all wisdom, and they had to change that to become the evil gods because they were rewriting everything in the pantheon. There is something that is the same that's been written and all that. You can blow your own mind and say, well, it's just the control mechanism that all these people put into place to keep you stuck here. Weirdly, that control mechanism is the mechanism that tells you how to get out of here. And they keep saying that anybody who talks about that is telling you a lie. But that is what all those stories were changed to. And that's what's been continued in all of those stories. So if they're trying to control people, again, it's like when they say that the Romans created the Jesus to control the Jews. Constantine was making the Roman Empire Christian when he changed all those things. So he was controlling the Romans. What happened was, if he was doing that to control the Jews, it backfired because it changed the course of history and it controlled all of Rome, hence Roman Catholic, and they're still there in the Vatican City. And so if they created Jesus to control the world, what they used to create Jesus was the meat of every single spiritual way known by every single spiritual person, including Lao Tzu and the Buddha, including Moses, including Thor, and including, must have been the Anunnaki. It had to have been the Anunnaki, right? Think of Apocalypse in that X-Men movie, same God, different skin, the beginnings of the X-Men. I didn't see that one, but I heard that. People told me I needed to watch it, right? when you learn the past, you will know the future. Absolutely. That is the truth, right? That is the truth. Because if you look at the past, you'll know the future. All of this has happened before, and all of this will happen again. Battlestar Galactica from the 2000s, right? That entire cyclical nature of the universe itself, and the cyclical nature of nature, and the cyclical nature of the human condition. That much is true. You look at the past, you're going to see the future. People always say the history repeats itself. It doesn't repeat itself, but it does echo. But it does echo, right? You know this. So truly, if you look at, everything does repeat. There's always a beginning and a middle and an end. There's always a cycle where the human condition rises up and then falls, rises up and then falls, rises up and then falls. It's the yin and the yang. It's what's supposed to be happening here. Okay, that's what's supposed to happen. There's supposed to be a time of trouble. There's supposed to be a time of glory. There's supposed to be a time of failing. There's supposed to be a time of returning to the king, returning of the king, returning to God. It's the cyclical nature of the way this place was set up by the Creator, no matter whether you believe it or not, right? So when you know the past, you know the future. You also know the present, right? Truly, I agree with you 100%, my brother, because that is the way it is. So if you look at, and that's why they don't want people learning that, though. That's why they don't want us to learn what happened in these societal structures that happened before us, or in any society. They want to take history away. Why? Because they don't want us knowing the past enough to either stop it or realize that there's a cyclical nature to it. So you can see it from the eyes of bad guys are controlling us always and keeping us here, Matrix, like the Matrix movies, right? You can see it that way. Or you can see that that's the way that things just work in the universe because God created it that way. You can see it that way. None of that matters. You can see it that way. It's just the rise and fall of the human condition. You can see it that way. It doesn't really matter how you see it, because it truly, if you look at it from the eyes of anything, it's still the same. It still happens. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end to all societal structures. Okay? And you can predict, and that's why, like you were saying, if you see if you learn the past, you'll know the future, because societal structures go through a certain transitional phase and then they cease to be. This societal structure that's happening on the earth right now is already in the phase of about to destroy itself. Okay, so if you pay attention to the rise and fall of empires that have happened since 77,000 years ago, every empire that has gone through, there's a certain thing they go through on the uptake and a certain thing they go through on the downtake. And it's predicted almost identical in all societal structures throughout time so far. We're right in that precipice. Okay? So that can scare you if you don't know those things. You can go, whoa! Everyone goes, whoa, we're living in the end times. The end times are always now. The end times are always now. Okay? That's the truth. Go back 2,000 years. They were living in the end times. Go back 10,000 years. They were living in the end times. The end times are always today. No matter where you are in life, it's always today. Because your end time is within you. This is what Thoth is telling you. This is what Lao Tzu told you in the Tao Te Ching, in the Tao, in the way. It's what Jesus was teaching in the way. This is the story that happened to Thor. This is the story that happened to Marduk. This is the Hero with 1,000 Faces, that thick book by Joseph Campbell. It's the story of what Carl Jung was talking about when he was saying that it's the dark night of the soul is the death, and the resurrection is you climbing out of your own ashes. That's what they were teaching you. They were all teaching you that. The way to heaven is within you. This is what we're being taught here. Let me go back over here and we'll actually finish this because we're down to the last few words. Let's finish this, right? So, hidden place, stand before the gates and their guardians. The guardians, again, of those gates are, again, your chakras and balancing your chakras. Command thy entrance by these words. I am the light. In me is no darkness. Free am I of the bondage of night. Open thou the way to the 12 and the 1. Okay, there's that 12 and 1, the 13 again, the 12 with the 1. The 12 and the 1. There's the 12 apostles. You guys should look into that number. And why is that always there's 12 followers for the one who is the way? So I may pass through the realm of wisdom.
For me are no barriers. Open, I command, by the secret of secrets. Edom el ahim sabert zur Adom. Then if thy words have been truth of the highest, open for thee the barriers will fall. Now I leave thee, my children. Own, yet up to the halls shall I go. Win ye the way to me, my children. Truly my brothers shall ye become. Thus finish I my writings. Keys let them be to those who come after, but only to those who seek my wisdom. For only for these am I the key and the way.
Okay, so, and then we finish the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Okay, so if you're not lying to yourself, did you hear that? If you're not lying to yourself, because you can't lie to the universe, you can't lie to the creator. If you're not lying to yourself, you'll get there. Okay, so those people who say, I'm truly just gray, I'm not good or evil, I'm just gray, not picking a side. Those people who are self-serving, or they wouldn't say that. Because people who are in service to others are not afraid to say it. The only people who are afraid are people who are self-serving. They're afraid to say that they're self-serving, some of them. So they're like, no, I just haven't picked a side. I don't get involved in that. Well, it usually, now I can't say that's 100% because if it is like the religious thing, I'm not involved in that God-devil thing, right? Because that's just, there is no devil. The devil is within you. The devil is your ego. The devil is the flesh. The devil is just this place in third dimension and living here and living by this place and just being in this place. Or living in this place can be your heaven because it's actually a very beautiful place. The food is great. Food is good in all the countries. They make it their own. And it's really tasty, right? Sex is good. Love is good. There's a lot of good in this place. Right? Even the wilderness that will try to kill you is pretty. I've been to a lot of places on this planet and it's pretty. If you haven't been anywhere in your life, go to places. It's pretty. Get away from humans though. If you go to places where humans are, it's going to look the same. Right? It literally is. Like when my wife came to America, let's start with that. When my wife came to America, she was like, I couldn't even tell you because we were in California in the state capital, Sacramento. She said, this is like Australia, even when we got outside the city. She said, if I didn't know that I wasn't in Australia, I would tell you I was in Australia, except you're driving on the right, not the left, and you're on the left side of the car, not the right side of the car as the driver. But if I weren't able to see that and I just had blinders on and I looked out here, well, the buildings are identical. The landscape is almost identical to New South Wales. Do you see? I got phlegm, sorry. Then I came here and she's like, you're going to love it when you come over there. I came over here and I was like, wow, I couldn't tell the difference. This place, other than driving on the left, right side of the car left, this place is identical. Why? Because it's a European style country that used to be under the rule of the English king. Canada looks like America. Germany looks like America, right? France looks like America. European, England, Ireland, Wales, Scotland. The buildings are different in Europe because they're older buildings and a different need for different buildings with a higher pitched roof because of the snow. In the areas of America where we have that kind of snow, we have those higher pitched roofs as well. In the places where we don't need that, they're not as steeple-like, right? But the culture evolved from that culture. So when you get to the Orient, it's different. But in the modern day, the modern buildings are all modern buildings wherever you go. Global society. Do you see? Global society. When the society becomes global, people tend to start building their buildings the way that they are built everywhere. Right? If you look at China and Japan when they were, go back to the 1800s, and they were very old world, and their structures were old world still until the modern people showed up. And then once they started realizing that there was, a technology that had surpassed them, They have been playing catch up and then leading the way in very many other aspects. Okay. So they changed and they incorporated into a modern societal structure. The same thing with the East. When you go to the Far East, Middle East, Far East, Middle East now, same thing. What happened is that the modern structure that was taking over the world then modernized, in their words, like the English will tell you that they brought, civilization to the world. In some very serious respects, they kind of did. Right. So if you look at the time, but the Romans were the one that modernized them. The English were a bunch of tribes of wild natives, like in the Americas, when the Romans got there and the Romans Romanized them and then integrated that. They integrated that societal structure of the Romans into their societal structure from the 300s upwards into the 1100s, and then they evolved slightly different from the people in Rome. But then once they all started again meeting up with one another, the cultures then started working, and because people would say, their defenses are better than ours, their weapons are better than ours. When I'm rewatching History Channel's The Vikings, and Ragnar showed up in England for the first time. We're on that episode 5, 6. I think we're on 6 or 7 right now. And one of the first things they noticed was that their steel was better than theirs. Their iron was better than theirs. Well, it was a steel at the time. Was harder than theirs. Do you see? So now they're learning the techniques. And if you look at the techniques of the shipbuilding by Floki, that technique would change the course of history. The Vikings were the one that came up with that technique. Small keel, small draft, able to sail on the ocean and upstream in rivers. Okay. But it has to be a smaller craft to do so. It can't be a big ship like we have today, because that ship is too heavy, so it ends up with a deeper keel. But I had a vessel. I had a 30-foot sailing ship that had a keel that was created in the 1970s by the people who created the keel that won the America's Cup. Okay. And the keel that I had was still considered theoretical that was on that, because it was made in 1972 and I owned it back in 2016. So that could go in a 6-foot draft. So I could go upstream, and so I could go out in the ocean and sail it across the 7 seas. And it wouldn't tip over, because the keel was designed to keep me upright, even in that kind of weather. And then I could sail upstream into rivers as long as I had 6 foot of depth. That's all I needed, right? A little over 6 foot, and I could sail upstream. So that kind of idea was the Vikings had created back then, and they were able, then people started adopting that. Do you see? So when cultures start sharing, they start sharing everything. They share their spices, they share their cooking, they share their technology, and then cultures start adapting to that. They start adopting that. Why would they not adopt a philosophy? Why would they not adopt religion? That's my point. And they do. We know this. We know that everyone does that. So when you meet outside people, it changes you forever. When you meet people from a foreign country, it changes the people that are there in some way. You give them something that's new to them. They give you something that's new to you, and it changes you. It's just like when you hear my words. If you pop into my live, no matter what you do today, you're going to be different than you were yesterday. No matter what you do in the next hour, you're going to be different than you are right now, because you're going to change. And if you don't change, you're doing something wrong. So if you gain any kind of knowledge by talking to someone about something, and you don't believe that if you don't think you already know everything in the universe, because some people are like, I know everything, and you just know nothing, and they're not willing to learn. They're not willing to say, maybe I don't know everything. People say that about me. You just think you know everything. No, I don't. I know enough to know that I know nothing. Is it possible that I know more than you? Depending on who you are, it's very possible. Is it possible that you know more than me? Depending on who you are, it's very possible. I know that, though. I'm not arrogant and ego enough to where I think I know everything and no one knows anything. And they don't know what I know, so therefore they're not smart, right? You don't know what you're talking about. You'll never hear me say that to somebody. You don't know what you're talking about. I'll never say that. But some people will immediately say, you don't know what you're talking about. You know nothing. That's ego. That's ego. Anyone who says that to you, that's the same thing as saying, I'm a grown-ass man. I'm a grown-ass woman. A grown-ass man has no need to say that to someone. Okay? I'm a grown-ass adult. No, you're not. Because you would not have the need to say that if you were. Okay? So if you ever find yourself saying that, realize that you just showed people that you're not. Right? So anybody that has any kind of knowledge is going to say, I don't know everything. And if they don't, stop listening to them. Because they're going to tell you they know everything, and I'll teach you everything you need to know. I'll tell you everything you need to know. Don't listen to them because they don't know what they're talking about. That's the truth of that. Anybody who says, if you ask them, do you know everything? No, God, no, I don't know everything. I wish I did. I wish there'd be an end to the universe, the end of the internet. And I would get there and it would say, that's it. You've learned everything there is to learn. What? Can you imagine doing that? Not even AI can do that. You know why? Because AI is taught that humans are evolving. So therefore, the knowledge that's on the internet that AI has access to is going to change. And AI is aware of that. So AI has already become aware that somebody was sending me a notification. AI is already aware that it cannot know everything because everything is evolving. AI knows that. Humans don't even know that or will recognize that, especially arrogant ones that are full of ego. They believe that they have all the answers to the universe. You can't. You can't. I can't. Right? Do I know a lot? Do I have access to the Akashic records and know a lot of what's going on? Absolutely. Does that mean I'm perfect? No. Does that mean that I don't make mistakes? No. Okay. But I know enough to be humble enough to say that. So when people say that, just because I speak as a matter of factly, and they go, you just think you know everything, don't you? Mm-hmm. No, I don't. No, not at all. I'm not trying to sell anything either. All I'm trying to do is give you tools on how to get out of here and show you where to look for it. Because it's there. Because it's there in front of you. Always has been, always will be. Because people keep trying to edit it and it doesn't work because it's universal. No matter how many people they kill, someone's going to figure it out again. Not because they're going to find a scroll. Not because they're going to find a scroll. Not because they borrowed it from someone else's religion. Because they're going to come up with the same exact information by unlocking it. That's the truth of it. Whether you like it or not, whether you believe it or not, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Hide under a rock. Don't read anything. You'll still learn in time the same wisdom that people learn from reading every scroll. You're going to unlock that eventually. Okay? And that's why people who are wise, Eckhart Tolle and other people throughout history, Eckhart, I know he's literally said that because I watched him say it, right? It's one of his famous quotes. And it's not his, he'll tell you that, okay? That no matter what happens to you on this earth, no matter what you believe in, that's why they say, like, by hook or crook, no matter what happens to you, if you do not believe in God, you do not believe in philosophy, you don't believe in religions, you don't believe in anything, you will still, at some point, because of the strife of this place, you will also still learn the same information. Okay? It does not take you believing in God. It does not take you believing in a higher power. It does not take you believing in anything at all. You living your life, eventually you will say there's got to be something more than this. Doesn't mean you're going to find God. It doesn't mean you're going to find a creator. It doesn't mean any of that. You will eventually start to learn the wisdom that you will unlock by becoming wise and just being a nice person. Eventually, it'll just download into your head from the universe because it's designed to do so. Okay? Doesn't matter what you believe in. If you're self-serving, you won't learn that package. You'll only learn the package for self-serving people. You'll learn how to control people, manipulate people, make more money. Because you'll want that. Because that's what you'll seek. You'll seek power, you'll seek money, you'll seek fame. And that's all you'll ever have. And that's why those people, no matter how rich they get, they're still wanting something else because they're driven. And they're like, doesn't matter how much money you have, you still have the same problems. You still have the same thing. More money creates more problems. So it's still the same. It's still just that. Right? So eventually, even the richest people who don't believe in God eventually go, it's got to be something else. It's got to be something else. So they stop becoming evil at some point, stop becoming self-serving, and they start pondering. Start looking around. I've done everything. I've owned everything. I've done everything you can do with money, and I have everything, and I have mansions, and I have power, and I have all of this, and there's just something missing. Ask rich people. Look at rich people in history. They sit there and they go, I got all the money, I got all the power, I got all the gold, and then now what? Well, at least my family will have it all. Now what? If they're just self-serving to the end, they don't care. They don't care. Got mine, I got mine, you get yours, up yours, you know what I mean? And they're self-serving. And then that's it. And then their families are either taught that or whatever. But then eventually somebody in that family goes, there's got to be more than this, man. Usually second or third generation people who have money and don't have to work for it. They become very bored with life because they have everything they want. That's why we say things like, be careful what you wish for because you just might get it. Right? Because once you have everything and you can do everything, you get really bored really quickly because you have everything. I want a Maserati. I want a Carmen Ghia. I want a Rolls Royce. You have that all, and then what? Look, you got to show it off to your friends. Look what I got. Look what I got. Look what I got. Eventually your friends go, yeah, I got one too. Do you see? Keeping up with the Joneses only happens if you're the one that's doing it first. You get to go, I'm still first. I'm still first. I'm still first. I'm still first. But everybody else is just right behind you doing it too. So I got 20 cars. So do I. I got 30 cars. So do I. I have all the cars. So do I. I own all the companies. Me too. Do you see? So eventually, it doesn't matter how much power you have. Nothing ever changes. And you still have the same problems. You still have to live here. You still have to do all this stuff. You have to, and then you're going to die. And you can't take any of it with you. So eventually something will change, and you will learn, whether you believe in God or not, you will learn knowledge. And it'll either just keep leading you down the course of screw everybody, I got mine, you get yours, or it's going to lead you to a different direction. And if you become in service to others, then you'll start going, okay, I'm going to leave something behind that I want people to remember me by. And then you start doing things for people. I'm going to change the face of the world so people remember me when I'm gone. Then you start bettering yourself because you start bettering the world, right? And the good thing is that most evil people still do that anyway because they do that for tax shelter purposes. So even though I love how the system works in this world, even though they're evil, they give back to the world even for an evil purpose, but they're still moving the world forward because everything serves the all. So even though they're evil and they're like, I want to take over the world and kill everybody off or whatever it is that they want to do, they're still leaving. Why? Because they still want their name to be remembered. They're self-serving. The only way they can have their name remembered is they have to do something for people to remember them by. So eventually, no matter how evil they are, no matter how much they hate people, they have to use people so people remember them. Name that highway after me. I'm going to build a wing on a hospital. I'm going to build a highway. I'm going to build a bridge. Do things and name it after me so people will remember me, and they'll go across the whatever, the Leonard O'Neill Bridge, and no one will even know why it's called that. 1 out of every 5,000 people will go, why is that bridge called Leonard O'Neill? Some guy, rich guy, built it. Oh, okay, whatever. They'll keep going. Whatever. They keep going. No one cares. But things will get done. Do you see? So some people then realize that as well. Okay. Hi, baby. Are you off work? If my wife's off work, I'm going to have to go because it's her lunchtime, and I've been on here for 2 hours and 30 minutes, so it is time. My wife is there, so she's off of work. All right, baby. Must be on your way home, right? So I'm going to have to get off here in a second because my wife is coming home for lunch, and I'm going to spend time with my wife. But I will be back live tomorrow at some point on TikTok. So for those of you who are following me now and listening to me now, if you have TikTok, I will be live on TikTok, and I'll be talking about spirituality and answering questions on TikTok tomorrow. Okay. So no matter who you are, no matter what you believe, let me wrap things up. No matter who you are and what you believe, doesn't matter what you believe, eventually in your lifetimes somewhere, you're going to get tired of what you're doing and have that dark night of the soul and go, there has to be something different. Then you're going to change things about yourself in some way, even if it's just trying to get back to society so they'll remember your name. So you'll have your name on something, and then some people will know about it. Your family will know about it, and your grandkids, and usually after 2 or 3 generations, they forget about you anyway, and it's just named that, right? Like why is the place in America where the government is run called the District of Columbia? Right? Most Americans don't even understand why that's called that. Right? So you should look that up. Oh, because of Christopher Columbus. You should look that up and find out why. So some people just don't understand those things. Why is it called America? Why are the Americas called the Americas? North and South America and Central America. Why is that? Because there was a man named Americos. Okay. Do you see? So most people don't know that, but it's still named that. That's why it's important. That's why Mexico got really mad when Donald Trump renamed the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. Right? They didn't like that because it's been named the Gulf of Mexico for a long time. Do you see? So you have to realize that at some point people want to leave something for people to remember them by, because they know that if they believe that when they're gone, no one's going to remember them. Truth is, when I die, if I have children, they'll remember me. Grandchildren, maybe if they met me. If not, they'll know the name. After that, no one's going to know who I am unless I leave something behind. Do you see? So the only way that you can ever be known is you have to leave something behind that outlives you. These people in history who left things behind, Jesus, these other people that we know are real in history, those people left behind something that is still here. What did they leave behind? Not just their name. It was things they did and things they said that they were giving back to the world. Okay. I hope that people remember me in some way from the things that I say, that I leave behind. I've written books. I hope those books, I know that they're going to stay around as long as America's around, because they're in the Library of Congress in the United States. Okay. So as long as that country is there and the Library of Congress and that knowledge is there, my books will be on this planet for people to read. They may sit there for 100 years, 1,000 years. If the world gets shitty, who knows? But if the Library of Congress survives, people will find my book maybe in 10,000 years. And they'll read it. Or they won't. Do you see my point? But if someone does, if I say something that is out here in the ether, either on my podcast or on the MP3 or MP4 file or my book, makes a change in you or anyone else, and then you turn that and benefit from it, and then you somehow pass that forward, then I'm leaving a legacy that is working through the people who hear my words, the same way that I'm working because of the words that I heard from someone else or read from someone else. Do you see? So the people who left these words thousands of years ago, I've studied them, and now I'm saying you should pay attention to these words. Do you see? So I'm passing on their legacy by doing that and saying, this is what I have learned in life. And you can either believe me or not, but eventually you'll believe the same thing, because you'll figure that out. And you'll say, wow, this is the way things actually are. And then you'll go, yeah, I need to do something different in my life, and what's going on here, right? So you'll either make your way or you won't, or you'll decide to do things or you won't. But eventually you're going to have the dark night of the soul, and you're going to start moving back upwards from where you're at, because you're going to realize this ain't what it is. This is not what I expected it to be. This is not what I want. What do I want? And then you're going to look around for that. So it has nothing to do with if you believe in a God or anything like that. There's my wife. Hi, baby. She's backing in the garage. All right, guys, I love you. I'm going to go because my wife's home for lunch. So I'm going to go and spend lunch with my wife. I will be back. I will be on TikTok tomorrow. And then those of you listening to the podcast around the world on the MP3 broadcast, don't worry about it, because when I'm live on TikTok, you'll get that too, because I take that and put that out there for you. And I haven't been telling you that I'm on TikTok, I don't think. I'll start telling you that was a live from TikTok, so you guys know the difference. But either way, it's still me doing the show. And I think I do tell you that in the description. So you guys out there are going to hear me either way. But if you're on YouTube or Facebook, if you don't have TikTok, the only place you can hear what happened on TikTok is on the MP3 file on the podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, okay? Or you can come over to TikTok, find me on TikTok, and listen in tomorrow, because I'll be live. I just don't know what time. My wife is off tomorrow, so I'll be going live at some point tomorrow on TikTok. I haven't established a time that I keep going live all the time. Like here, I go live at the same time every Friday night for those of you in the Americas. Or in Europe, and every Saturday morning for those of you in Australia. I go live at the same time, 10 a.m. unless it changes because of the time zone changes. 3 p.m. West Coast America time, Friday night, Saturday morning at 10 a.m. That's been constant for 7 years. So I haven't set up a constant for TikTok yet, but I will. I'll get there and I'll do that. But either way, you're still going to get it on the MP3 broadcast. Wherever you listen to a podcast, you'll still get that as soon as I pop that up. So you guys can always tune in there, follow me on that, and listen to everything. All right, guys, I love you guys. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Have a great, morning, afternoon, evening, or tomorrow, depending on where you are tuning into the show. All right, and I'll see you guys either on TikTok, or I'll see you back here next week, or I'll see you on one of the platforms where I'm posting stuff every day. All right, guys, peace out.